about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a.
Catbus Russ,
who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guests and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, Ninety, 4 FOR, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Hello, welcome to 2026, and welcome to I Dig Crazy Flicks with Catbus Russ. I am your host, Catbus Russ, and this episode, I'm taking us back to GalaxyCon St. Louis for my conversation with Eclips from the Cinema Shitshow podcast. This is going to be 90 for Chill, the panel, since I'm going to be dropping 90 for Chill from the long-winded title right now on the search engines, what have you. It's only appropriate that we still keep the concept of live, that films should have a runtime between 70 and 100 minutes. That's where we're going to start off this year. Upcoming this week, I'll probably be doing some bonus episodes from Fan Expo New Orleans. I'm returning back down there to see if I can meet some old faces, some cool people like Jamie Ray, TJ, and Plato from the NOLA Film Scene podcast, Jamie Ray from Fave 5 for Fans. So hopefully some networking, more importantly, hopefully some fun. I mean, I think they have Joey Pantolino on the guest list, so to get to see the great character actor, sounds like it's going to be a W. With all that said, if you want to help the podcast out, first off, you can rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast apps, 5 stars preferably. Be as honest as you'd like to be in the comments. I will read them and I will take them to heart. We'll make a better show because of it. You can also help I Dig Crazy Flicks out by joining the Patreon. That's patreon.com/I Dig Crazy Flicks. Right now, I'm only looking for $3 a month. What does $3 get you? That gets you access to the original 90forchill.com, the podcast feed from Podbean without any conservative influence. So you can go and see how I've grown as a podcaster, or I should say, hear how I've grown as a podcaster. You also get your choice of a refrigerator magnet or waterproof sticker with the I Dig Crazy Flicks logo. I put them on my water bottles and my locker at work to promote the podcast myself. Just suggestions. And you get a shout out as long as you're subscribed on each episode. So let's thank The Scoop Staley, an AAW wrestling backstage personality back in the day. Thank you, Dad, for all the support you provided me. And thank you, Tim Bates. You can find him on the podcast feed. Look for episodes about 1989's Bloodsport in Space, Arena, and the horror comedy classic Night of the Demons. $3 a month. Think of it as 3 tins of cat food for Ava the Queen Kitty. Royalty should be respected. So thank you very much for being honorable people. But the best way to help the podcast out is come on the show, be a guest. If you have a movie that's off the wall, detached from reality, crazy in other words, I'd love to talk about it. Or if you have an idea, film, director, actor, theme, as long as it's bonkers, I'll gladly talk about it. But if you got something a little more mellow, a little more down to earth, as long as it's between 70 to 100 minutes, let's 94 chill. So before we get to my conversation with Eclips from St. Louis GalaxyCon, I'm going to post a review for both a crazy flick and one that's 90 for chill. Lady Terminator, a knockoff of Terminator from Indonesia with some South Seas flair. So I would say if you want to get by that, get right to the conversation, I'd skip to about the 11-minute mark on the podcast. All I have left to do otherwise is get my formalities out of the way Thank you very much, Station Marie Harden, for keeping an eye on me, keeping me out of too much trouble, especially Nick's Eclips. Fun guy, I will say that. And I hope you're doing the same for everybody else you touched in your life. And I hope you're squeezing the ectoplasm out of the most jellicle of kitties, Skimbleshanks the one-eared angel. Thank you for checking out I Dig Crazy Flicks, presents 90 for Chill, the podcast in this case, and enjoy the show.
That woman cannot die because she has the spirit of the South Sea Queen.
Where is Erica? Where?
Damn, she got bit!
But don't worry. I'll protect you.
To kick off my new movie discoveries for 2026, I went into Rob Hill's Bad Movie Bible to watch Lady Terminator. This is a DVD you can pick up on Amazon from Mondo Macabro DVD, and it's the story of, well, it's the Indonesian knockoff of Terminator, and honestly, it's kind of cool how they get there. It's a story about a South Sea queen, a witch who's has had 99 husbands, and the eel inside her vagina has bitten off and essentially murdered those husbands. But it's a message about why it's important for foreplay, because the 100th one was able to pull out that eel, and after that, the South Sea Queen placed a curse on his family and will come after his great-granddaughter. So give it a century, so we're talking, say, 1880 to 1988 in, I believe it'd be Jakarta, Indonesia, where an anthropology student interested in this legend from America, of course, tries to find the queendom and ends up being possessed by the witch. And now she's out to kill the great-granddaughter, and it's up to a white cop in the Indonesian police force to protect her, and that's where it pretty much goes. So once you get past all the legend, which is a good 10 minutes, I think, of the feature, to, well, probably closer to 20, I digress, you get a almost shot-for-shot remake of The Terminator from 1984, James Cameron's best film, my opinion. So it's silly. That's all I can really say. I think it does a better job, say, than Shocking Dark, Bruno Mattei's Terminator 2 from 1989, which is really an Aliens ripoff. In other words, it doesn't just say, well, the dialogue worked in Aliens, so let's use it here. Now, you do get Come With Me If You Want to Live in there, but it's thrown by a supporting character, so it tweaks it a little bit. You have the POV shots from the Lady Terminator being done with a red tint to it, so no heads-up display, but a nod to it. There's some unnecessary scenes, like, well, we had a scene where Arnold takes his eyeball out, we have to have the witch do that. And like, did we? And then by the end, the finale is far more over the top than anything the Terminator went to. At least I would say in the first 5 features, I happen to like Terminator Genesis. If anybody wants to chat about that, find me at CatBusRuss on Blue Sky or email russthebus07@gmail.com. But I digress. It's definitely underlit a lot of the time. A lot of the action takes place outdoors at night, so nowhere to put up those lighting rigs. But you have to appreciate stuff like the nightclub shootout. Kind of, you get disappointed that, again, continuity is lost in this for the most part. Like, all right, she keeps getting shot. Shouldn't there be damage or anything? And then they cut and like, oh, well, I guess you can show some scars, but she's supernatural, so I suppose that's the excuse. But then it's like, well, don't have any scars. And I did not catch all of the dick shots that Bootleg Safari, Aaron Reynolds, Effin Bird did on a countdown from, I believe it was the Twin Cities Comic Convention circa 2023, where he kept track of all the dick shots. But there are some obvious, this bitter old bitch is really focused on the male anatomy. One way or another, it's coming off, I suppose. So it's a whole bunch of silliness. Really, that's all you can call this feature, I suppose. But I admire how it got to the same story just by a different route. And even when you have like, well, let's go and do the, again, continuity, sure, why not have them stranded out in the woods and then merge the love scene and the talk of the future and, have that Kyle Reese moment. And then, suddenly they get back to the city. So again, continuity is not there in the name of just trying to get to the set pieces from Terminator. But I will say it is nice to see a female Terminator who does the Arnold thing, wander around topless. So it gives me a little bit of a Life Force vibe at times. And then you also have some Highlander effects, probably closer to Ninja 3 The Domination type scenes, metamorphosis, transfer of power, all that stuff. And it's just a nice little ode to everything that was cheesy in the 80s. It's not as blatant a ripoff as Shocking Dark is. It does want to be its own thing, and it takes its time to do so. It's better than Bruno Mattei, to say the least. It's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, despite I do think, again, going back to the 80s, well, this has got a lot of Yoshiaki Kawajiri stuff, the director of Wicked City, Demon City, Shinjuku, and Vampire Hunter D. It's fun to see how we try to make all this stuff sexy on top of that, and maybe that's what Terminator was missing.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Well, thank you for coming to I Dig Crazy Flicks Presents 90 for Chill, the panel with Cat Bus Russ and my frequent guest on the show, or, well, I guess this is number 2, so that makes you frequent.
That won't count.
Well, Nick Eclips, he's got a podcast called Cinema Shitshow. He's got a lot of, like, if you want weird movies, that is definitely the place to go. Because I beg for guests, dare I say, so a little more mainstream. Like, you went and found a copy of The Cat, so
Yes.
Yeah. So what's our issue with obscenity? I'm a PG. I like to keep it PG-13, so okay, all right. So, but as I start all my podcasts, I just need to pull up some classic disclaimer script. Bear with me as I get that. And who's seen Phantasm? All right, anybody got an Angus Scrim boy in them?
Boy.
All right.
Nobody else is going to do it.
Yeah, well, and that's usually I'm the guy who ends up doing it. So, all right. So, But more importantly, this podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man. So, who agrees movies are just way too long now? All right, couple in the back, cool. All right, so what's your favorite movie? I should go all the way to the back for the one person who did not agree.
I like Interstellar.
Interstellar, all right. Christopher Nolan complicated a relationship with me because I did not like the Dark Knight trilogy.
See, I'll agree with you on that. The new Batman is the best Batman film.
Well, I'm always going to probably be partial to Tim Burton, but Tim Burton doesn't know anything about comic books, so...
I don't know, that's Batman.
I said Tim Burton doesn't know anything about comic books. I'm not saying Matt Reeves.
My bad.
Yeah, there's a famous story about Tim Burton, Kevin Smith being told about the end of Planet of the Apes, the Tim Burton version. And, we already did that in the Jay and Silent Bob comic books.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to start, and his agent said, do you want to start some page 6 feuding? Sure. And then you get a quote from Tim Burton eventually saying, I don't care anything about what Kevin Smith has to say because I don't read comic books. And Kevin Smith responded, well, that explains your Batman. So, but when it comes to Nolan, my favorite Nolan is probably Memento, which is a little long, but I was most impressed by Dunkirk, and that is a bang-bang 90-minute movie. It's an experience. I really wish I would have seen it, but in IMAX back in the day. But again, my history with him. So I haven't seen Oppenheimer. The main premise really about I Dig Crazy Flicks and 90 for Chill is that I typically work 2 jobs. I'm in retail, so 10 o'clock comes around in the evening. I want to watch something. Now, do I watch the latest Marvel movie or Martin Scorsese masterpiece? No, that's going to take me till 2 at the very least, and I'm at home. I'm going to check my phone if I see something is that who I think it is? Right. Obviously, I really wish I watched more on Prime just because of the X-ray function, but I digress. And then, am I going to start a new television show? Not in a binge culture. You watch one episode of Stranger Things, you're going to watch the next episode, and the next. And you come into work, you might as well be hungover. I think that's the level of expectation your employer should have. So I find it, I will go to the movie theater, I will clear my bladder. I talked to somebody earlier saying he dehydrated himself before going to see No Way Home, just to make sure. And I got in trouble with my trivia team this week when our captain said, well, I can't go and see that movie, it's way too long. And I said, well, I'm going to have to pee at some point. And I said, well, that sensation, it only means your bladder's half full. You can endure it. And then I get the stare of death. You surely haven't had 2 children, have you? So I can make that sacrifice for the cinema, but it's an experience type thing. I mean, the entire idea of the B movie comes from the fact that you were going to spend your entire night at the cinema in the dawn of film. You get your A movie, you get your B movie. I mean, goddamn, I hope there was no B movie after Gone with the Wind. So, that's,
The 10 Commandments.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, I don't know. Those are movies you got to try to stay awake for, because I went to B-Fest up at Northwestern University. I do it every year. And they had a movie by this old religious nut in Mississippi. I think it's Ethel Perkins or something. And, I had may have taken an edible before that. I was going to unwind. It's the 2 o'clock movie. It's like, no, I do not need any subconscious stuff. I'm going to make it through this movie. Thankfully, it's only 50 minutes long, but hey, you get to, and it's just such propaganda, never mind poorly made. Like, they buried that woman with her hairnet on? Come on. You get to see kids get decapitated poorly, but, fear of God stuff. The communists are getting us.
It almost sounds a lot like A Thief in the Night, about the rapture. You ever seen that one?
I have not, but believe me, that I think people know. If horses fail you, what will foot soldiers do?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of 50 to 52 minute movies, we've covered a couple on the Shitshow. A couple shorts from, I believe they were either Hong Kong, I think they were Japan. And it seems like that the shorter that the movie is, the more they leave out. So it kind of jumps from scene to scene to scene, and you're left kind of scratching your head until maybe you get to the end, and then you get what you were looking for. That's why we need the 70 to 90, right?
Well, it's a good standard. It's a different culture, though, in Japan. So the first convention I ever went to was 1998, the age of tape trading. And I found I was a big anime guy at that time. Sorry, kids today's got it way too easy. You don't know what it was like getting your allowance and then spending $25 on a single hour of VHS tape and waiting for the next month to come. So at this convention, I bought a bunch of the Sailor Moon series that they said weren't going to get to the States, and the uncensored Street Fighter II, the animated movie, which again eventually made it to the States. And then there was and I prefer the dub version just because the soundtrack is great. Introduced me to KMFDM.
Sweet.
Yes. And then the other tape I bought was Macross 7, the movie. So Macross, at that time, all we had stateside, you could get Macross Plus, Macross 2 in the anime section of your Suncoast. But Macross 7, all right, and it's weird because in that series, because it's all about trying to brainwash the alien race that's trying to kill us with music as the weapon, essentially, compared to the missiles and such. Thanks for checking it out. Enjoy the punch and pie. Oh, yeah. 3:30. Yeah, so yeah, Macross 7, half hour was the movie. Yeah, and go back to Evangelion, basically the death and rebirth, the first movies to make up because people did not like the ending of the TV show. Or just two 45-minute movies. And then on top of that, the next movie that came out, End of Evangelion, they basically just took the end credits off of the second movie and just started all the way back at the beginning of the second film. So most people are like, no, I swear you have to watch Death and Rebirth before you watch End of. It's like, yeah, no, it's a flashback show as the first movie. So
I grew up in that time period too, attending a lot of Fangoria conventions when I lived in California, and would buy stuff like the Incredibly Strange Film Show. If you heard that, with Jonathan Ross, he covered stuff like Sam Raimi. What's the other one he did? I can't remember. But anyway, it was only an hour long too.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. So when I started the podcast, my ex-girlfriend was going to the used DVD store, buying me 3 movies for every letter each week while she visited the cat she left with me. And no, one of them was an hour long, and then I was really, really harsh on the time frame. 97 minutes, because Trainspotting, my favorite movie, is only 97 minutes long. And I own T2 Trainspotting, and I definitely intend to watch it again, trying to make the time for a 2-hour, 15-minute movie. But Danny Boyle, being such a director, I think he's earned that extra half hour. So, if you impress me, and I guess I should be a little lighter on Christopher Nolan, but if I'm impressed, like the John Wick franchise, I love every volume, and you got another 10 minutes. Okay, you want another 20 minutes? Sure. Another hour? You're going to bring me Scott Adkins in a fat suit? Well, you won. So that's what I think about movies. And it's good, just getting a good example, Interstellar. I haven't seen it, so I can't really argue. How could I cut that movie up to make it work for this? And there's movies that are perfect. Like, they cut out so much from the Star Wars A New Hope to begin with. It's like I couldn't stand to cut anything more out.
Are you guys horror movie fans at all?
A little bit, not super into it.
Yeah. I was saying, I watched a super long movie, and it gets, mixed reviews, but I actually fell in love with it, and it's based all around the St. Louis area. It's called The Empty Man.
I've heard of it. Yeah,
it's very long, but it tells, two separate stories at the same time, and I don't think that you'd be able to whittle it down, and it actually makes sense.
Oh, so two concurrent stories running against each other, not like the George Romero, Dario Argento, the two evil eyes.
No, it's one story happens, and then it starts with another story of a guy trying to figure out what's going on and what happened. So
there's a means of doing it. I think Sweden does a great job with their movies in a sense. A lot of Mark Bergman movies went straight to television, and we get these long ass cuts in the States. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo franchise, the Millennium franchise, the official. I saw those movies multiple times back when I had an independent theater in my hometown of Peoria, and then I get Netflix finally, which I was resistant for because I just like the idea of going to a video store and looking at the boxes, trying to pick. I'm gonna pick a winner here, and I see it, and they've got the Swedish original release, and it's 6 90-minute episodes. And it's so they divide each movie into 2 films. It's that actually kind of... I didn't get through it, but just, other things coming up. I was a Netflix DVD guy till the end. So, nope, got this in the mail. Gotta watch this.
I think one of the first things I rented from Netflix when they were still doing delivery by mail was Twitch of the Death Nerve. What's the alternate title for that? I always forget.
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah. But because Twitch of the Death Nerve just sticks out.
Yes. So, and then I guess you could fault... Well, I don't know if you can fault it, really. So, Dario Argento, talking horror, my favorite horror director.
Nice.
Would he have gotten big in the States if it wasn't for the release of The Hatchet Murders and Creepers?
Deep Red Hatchet Murders, yeah.
And, Creepers Phenomena.
Creepers had a great poster here in the States.
Yeah, so Creepers is a year before Labyrinth, but it's got Jennifer Connelly in it. It's about a girl who's just recently been put into a boarding school in Germany. Her dad's some kind of actor, celebrity. Everybody's jealous of her until we find out she sleepwalks. And on top of that, she can communicate with insects, and I guess they just didn't want extra roommates in this boarding school. But as this is all going down, there is a serial killer killing the girls there. And on top of that, welcome in. On top of that, the only person who could pretty much have any clue on solving it would be Donald Pleasance in a wheelchair.
And his chimpanzee.
Yes. That is my favorite, probably my favorite Argento movie. I mean, I will always introduce people to Suspiria first, so that's the one I've seen the most. But the finale, Chekhov's razor was used quite effectively.
Yeah.
In that. So, but those movies were, when they got to the States, and it may have been an MPA thing, they got cut down to 90 minutes, so about a half hour lost on each feature. It's very weird watching like the actual Deep Red now, the full release. It may have been the director's cut, honestly, because in Italy they do not record movies with sound. This is the same thing with the Sergio Leone's The Man with No Name trilogy. So with that being the case, when they get the director's cut of anything from them where you see deleted scenes, they're all in Italian because the Americans didn't stick around to do the ADR.
Yeah. They also, with Phenomena, aka Creepers, they also switched some scenes around as well.
Right.
Which was odd. In Deep Red, they mostly, they cut out the gore.
Yes.
They always did back in the day when they released these over here. But they also cut out all the comedy.
Yeah, they did do that. Yes, so that's Argento. I was recently on a podcast called Fan Fave 5 where I give my top 5, and then it's like, oh, I'm immediately regretting it because I didn't talk about the weird stuff like Julian Sands as the Phantom of the Opera in an Argento movie, and or Stendhal syndrome.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Stendhal syndrome is it's got some problematic things going on in there.
Yeah. It was Italy in the 90s. Come on. I mean, I was a professional wrestler. We didn't let the "she's a crack whore" chants go away till probably the late 2000s.
What are you talking about?
So based on the old ECW promotion, which they would have swear, curse, whatever, Extreme Championship Wrestling. Whenever the bad guys had a valet with them, a female manager, they would do stuff like chant, "She's a crack whore," or the show. Also, a lot of show us your. So.
Tatas.
Oh, and see house shows them. The responses like we were animals. That's all I can say in the 90s. Right. So, and I need to distribute Punch and Pie and buttons. So if you want to take something, okay. So, all right. As I said to everybody who's come in, it's Punch and Pie. Eric Cartman. Dare I say spirit animal, perchance? I mean, he is definitely an id, I think, for everybody. And you don't, well, I don't know, I'm not great, and never get my Freudian straight. Good David Cronenberg movie about Freud, though. A Dangerous Method, with, I can't, basically the three premier people in psychoanalytic theory. So you have Freud, played by Viggo Mortensen, the Russian, played by Keira Knightley, and Michael Fassbender as as I say,
Jung? Was it Carl Jung?
Yes, thank you, Carl Jung. Yes. So, very interesting. Like nothing really happens. Except we get to see Keira Knightley in some compromising positions, in a consensual way, but.
Which is more than you can say for Stendhal syndrome.
Yes. So, for those who came in, 90 minutes is the ideal runtime. 100 minutes is great. 70 minutes, you're pushing it. And I've ran into a lot of, I recently watched a movie from the one half of Full Moon Features, an experimental movie by Chris Alexander. He's really with Full Moon just to be the editor of their magazine, Delirium. And when I talk to him, it's like, yeah, no, I didn't talk to him on the podcast. But you can hear audio from John Cena, Brian O'Halloran, and Lou Diamond Phillips, and Kiefer Sutherland all cursing. Thank God for iPhones. If I'm not gonna get, I'm working on getting those cease and desist letters. I mean, if I'm not getting those, I'm not trying now, am I? But now I lost track. But
what was the name of this experimental film thing?
Oh, thank you. It's called Blood for Arena. It's in a Blu-ray 2-pack with the sequel, Queen of Blood. It's 70 minutes long, and I appreciate the effort so much. I gave it 2 stars on my letterbox, but so much of it's done in slow motion, focusing on images. It's like, now I understand why you told me, yeah, 70 minutes might be too long. So, and I've actually been watching a lot of stuff from cons, talking to people, and I think it's just general consensus. Some people that say it's short attention spans. We really shouldn't be making anything over 90 minutes. And I think a lot of time with 90-minute movies, so many of them are so good is because they have to be. You look at the horror movies again, like if Nightmare on Elm Street definitely was not going to get a big budget, so whatever Wes Craven had to work with, he made it work. Going back to Phantasm, Don Coscarelli never got money for those movies, and he made 5 of them. And it's when I qualify a movie for the podcast, I usually say, once the credits start rolling, we're done. That's when we can talk about the movie. I'll occasionally do the 12 parsec rule based on Solo, a Star Wars story, when we find out how the Kessel Run happened, and as Han's trying to hit on some lady saying, hey, have you ever been with a man who did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs? And they blow him off, and Chewie gives him a bullshit growl. And he says, not if you wind down. So I will, if I want to talk about a movie sometime, I will go and Beverly Hills Cop. If I wanted to talk about it on the podcast, okay, so come on, when's the freeze frame of Eddie Murphy looking back and smiling concludes? And it's at 1 hour 40 minutes, 45 seconds. All right, we can talk about this movie. I have since just gone to I Dig Crazy Flicks because, there's just so absurd movies out there. I will ignore that. Honestly, it was a marketing thing too. 90 for Chill, I don't know if those would work on buttons. I Dig Crazy Flicks, that's all merchandising. I did have fun, though, on the podcast when I started, though, trying to get guests on. Oh, I'd like to be a guest, yes. Okay, what movie would you like to talk about? Oh, I don't know. Well, what's your favorite movie? Empire Strikes Back? How about this? We talk about Spaceballs. And if we just happen to go on long tangents about Empire Strikes Back, that just happens. That's what a podcast is about. I mean, I know if you were at the None of This Matters podcast with MC Chris and Dana Snyder, and they were pretty much on a lot more focused than I've seen them. So
I couldn't be there. I was stuck in line for 2 hours trying to see Bruce Campbell, and then I had to get out of line and come here.
Well, we now know early bird gets the worm.
Yes.
So
I was going to say, we are speaking of making changes to the show. When Ben and I started, I have a co-host. We were only going to watch movies on Tubi. We wanted to be sure people could see what we were watching, so that it was free. And then over the next year or so, we kind of expanded, if it's on, what's it called, Fossum, or you can find it on YouTube. Pluto, yeah, or even the Internet Archive, then everything's fair game. So it's really expanded all the movies that we could do Another thing we like to do is like when we have a guest on for the first time, we pick the movie. They have to run the gauntlet with us and make it through. But when they come back the next time, they get to pick whatever they want. So we've not only done horror, but we've done some comedy, we don't like to pigeonhole ourselves. By the way, Cinema Shit Show, the movies aren't the problem. It's your hosts, because we don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it anyway. So maybe give us a listen sometime. It's fun.
A little more crass, I will say that, but
Yeah. Definitely R-rated.
yes. And when I had Nick's on the podcast where we discussed meta horror that kind of beat Scream to the punch, the Trauma distributed There's Nothing Out There.
Yeah.
I let him go loose. I knew what I was getting into. You can just put a little E on your podcast for anybody interested in creating a podcast. Really, all you need is one mic like that, and you're good to go. In other words, I've had so many bad audio from cons doing the recording on their behalf, but but then I do have incidents like I had a episode recently where, again, trying to come up with the crazy flick stipulation. So the editor, owner of Cutthroat Comics, wanted to come on to promote his latest comic book, Volume 2 of the Cocaine Stripper Stronghold. And before that, I read the comics I bought from him previously. It's like, ooh, language is a little too harsh. I'm going to ask you to keep it PG-13. But the movie I wanted to talk about was Count of Monte Cristo, 2002, which is okay.
Is that DiCaprio?
No, that's
Man in the Iron
Man in the Iron Mask. Alexandra Dumas, regardless. And this is Jim Caviezel and Guy Pearce. I didn't know if you were saying you explained Jesus as in, oh, that didn't seem like good casting, or The Passion. Okay. So I watched the movie, and it's like, it's 2 hours, 10 minutes, so a little long for the 90 for chill rule. And aside from diving to get the treasure, they didn't really think it was crazy. So it's like, can we do a 19th century vengeance themed podcast? You bring Count of Monte Cristo, I bring Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Yeah, nice little compare and contrast, but I feel bad about that one because I asked him, hey, try to keep the language clean, and he very much kept it PG-13. And then I was going to release that episode couple weeks away, and then I found the one I was going to release that week, and I forgot about the language I was using on that one. It was and I think when it comes to Eric Roberts, R-rated language is beyond fair. We watched Best of the Best from 1989. Eric Roberts as a Taekwondo expert on the national team coached by James Earl Jones, and teaming up with Chris Penn to face the Korean team. And their best fighter, played by Stephen Ree, who made Best of the Best into a franchise of, I believe, 5 movies, is out to get vengeance for his brother who was killed by one of the competitors.
This is our last pie.
I've got another box of it next. So, yeah, Eric Roberts, you just got to be honest about that guy, I suppose. I appreciate the fact he works all the time, though. That was the big thing. The guy I had on the podcast, I tried to actually connect with him when I was down in Atlanta doing a panel. Had actually gotten to do an interview with Eric Roberts, and he constantly works just so he doesn't do drugs. Keeps himself too busy to get effed up.
Sort of like why Alice Cooper did Monster Dog. He just got sober.
Oh, yeah, the weird decisions they made. We make changing our lives, and but if you want good Alice Cooper, Prince of Darkness, John Carpenter.
Oh yeah, and lots of bugs.
Lots of bugs. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I should leave that to the shit show because there's just so many jokes to be had about the devil being in a bottle the entire movie, spraying his essence
in people's mouths.
Yes, he's got the verbiage for that more than I do.
Maybe someday.
All right, so this has been having fun. I wouldn't mind hearing some suggestions though of your favorite movies. If they're a little too long, maybe we can talk about how we can fix that. But okay, yeah, everybody's favorite movie is a treasure. We don't want to screw with it. I just saw the expressions in the crowd. But how about long movies you think you people should see, and why they are worthwhile? I guess I explained a lot of mine. I grew up with Star Wars, so that was pretty much just raised on tape, and I am one of the. I have not watched The Acolyte yet, but I'm one of those who's no. The creators aren't doing any wrong. My opinion. I loved Obi-Wan, and I know a lot of people who absolutely hated that one.
I didn't even bother. Do you think they could tell the 10 Commandments in 90 minutes? Really?
There is a movie called The 10 with Winona Ryder, Gretchen Mol. It was of that era where it's easy to get it mixed up with stuff like Movie 43 or that DVD the guy from ShamWow was selling. The absolutely, like, you only see it like late night TV commercials for it. If we can't come up with the name, probably a good thing. No, it's Paul Rudd and Famke Janssen. Recently, are going to end up in the process of divorce, and they tell stories about all the sins that are necessarily going to be committed by them. Like Paul Rudd's committing adultery with Jessica Alba.
That's one with the MRI machine where he's jealous that his neighbor's getting an MRI machine.
Yeah, thou shalt not covet. And so you got celebrities with their free time. Winona Ryder's story involves having an affair with a ventriloquist dummy. So you can't tell the 10 Commandments in 90 minutes. It's just not exactly from Exodus. Let's just put it that way.
It's not exactly an epic like the original.
Right. But I think a lot of people watch movies like that it's weird comfort food in a sense. Like my ex-girlfriend would we always watch the 10 Commandments every Easter. It's like, okay, shouldn't this be the week prior? And I'm an atheist, but I did study this stuff. Like that's a Passover affair.
I just remember growing up with it when I was a kid. It was always on the television, and my mom loved it. So
yeah, and it's Cecil B. DeMille. Like I see his stuff before the Hays Code came into effect. Lots of fun. I'm trying to think. Was it trying to think because United Artists was started by Chaplin DeMille, and I can't remember the guy who did Birth of a Nation. But a very important person regardless. And that's an interesting topic. Are there movies we should just let die? Because you want beautiful cinematography. You got to give Lenny Riefenstahl her credit. With or A Birth of a Nation. Structurally, it's a well-directed film, and it's a good document of where our heads were at. I'm surprised it hasn't made a resurgence, sadly, in these trying, unprecedented times, as we call them.
I like what Looney Tunes did with like the disclaimer in front of the old cartoons.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and I think I used to do like disclaimer bits on my podcast when I would go off on some weird tangent, where like, ooh, I might offend somebody, but then I'm just looking at, yeah, I want to get into the show. Let's not waste 5 minutes on that. I will apologize, and when I need to. That's something about cancel culture, though. It's like when you apologize, you better bloody mean it. I've seen some great talents out there, and it's like, well, and a lot of them just surrendered to the idea that, oh, I guess I'm just not going to work for these people. It's like, no, you did bad things. Like, learn from them.
And I think the disclaimer is a much better idea than what Disney has been doing with like classic films like Splash, which famously was rated PG. And remember, she walks out of the ocean, and you see her tatas. But then now they've taken CGI and made her hair cover her breasts. I remember back in the day, Clash of the Titans used to play on their old cable channel, and they had censored the Medusa scene for the violence. And yeah, I'd much prefer to just say, hey, warning, there might be some stuff in here that might bother you, instead of cutting it out.
Yeah, well, the problem was that Disney, and I think it will get loosened up with the fact that they're really selling the Disney Plus Hulu. Like, you can't have, like, I was thinking, like, hey, Dad, can I go and steal your password again to get Disney Plus? And then it's like, and Hulu, and then it's like, yeah, I am watching Alien Earth. I don't want the kids to flip on the Fire Stick in the guest room, so, and just catch up on my queue. So I think it will loosen up a little bit with Disney, but I think the biggest controversy about that, and I'm gonna use my PG-13 here, is Adventures in Babysitter, and they censored Elizabeth Shue's line after dealing with some gangs. You do not fuck with the babysitter. And they cut that. They bleeped it out. Yeah.
That was part of the marketing of the film. I mean, sure, the button was the little symbols and whatnot, but I mean, they really wanted to promote that as a good comedy bit. So that's crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
So how do you explain how every time I watch Flash Gordon, the 1982,
1980, technically, 81 American release. That was, so Flash Gordon, but
so much.
I can't explain that. When it ran on cable, the DVD is fine. That's one of those. That's the entire reason. Like, I thought I would sell all my Star Wars 4Ks once everything came with a digital. And then it's a digital copy, and then it's like, oh no, they are always changing these. So, after I sold Force Awakens, same thing as A New Hope, but and Rogue One, it's like, oh shit, I gotta go and get those buy those back. So I know there's going to be a so I own every version of Star Wars and that. Flash Gordon being cut like that, I'd really have to rewatch. Don't make me do that. Rewatch the cable edit.
Oh my god! When I was little, that was my Frozen, or I watched.
It's for my mom is a big Anglophile, and you give her Brian Blessed, Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton's my James Bond. I'm gonna say that. Brian Blessed, Timothy Dalton, Max von Sydow, I know, Swedish, but point, fine British, people you'd see on She's Gone and seen on the West End in a sci-fi movie, and my mom just was fed up with watching Star Wars all the time. So it's like, this is immediately getting put in the tape deck. And I've been a Queen fan since since '82 because when you hear the word Flash.
Yep.
Yes. So
what did they cut?
Okay, so the last time I saw the basic cable edit, I see Richard O'Brien and that's what they cut out. So Timothy Dalton is talking the Baron, talking to his number 2 about how he can't kill Flash because he doesn't want to ruin his relationship with Aurora, and Richard O'Brien. Well, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do about it. Oh, there is, and they cut right to the battle on the Hawkman's spaceship. Mm-hmm. We don't even get Gordon's alive and all these legendary.
And Flash Gordon goes through all the undergrowth, the forest part, and he has to battle the monsters down there.
Yeah.
They didn't show that more.
Right. Wow. So it doesn't make any sense. The movie is under 2 hours to begin with. So when I say I don't want to go through that again, it's because and it's a fun thing I give my little sister crap about, because she, the first thing I bought gift wise for my nephew was a Blu-ray of Flash Gordon, because this is what I grew up on. And nope, because come on, Ryan, it's PG. Oh yeah, the telepathic scene where he's trying to talk to Gale and Aurora's all over him. Oh man, she's really turning me on. What was that? I didn't copy. Forget I said it. So that's just the weird thing about PG in the day. Parental guidance suggested. So PG was the big thing for the MPAA back in that time. I think it was solely violence. Because if you had just nudity one end to the other, that'd be an R. But no, it's really much just violence. And but even then, back in 1984, that's when PG-13 was established, because of the parents took their kids to see Gremlins and Indiana Jones.
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. And they're parental guidance suggested. Parents don't want to do homework, is what I found. So PG-13, your first PG-13 rated movie that was released, distributed, was Red Dawn. And really, that's just a violent movie. It's not, but that's, and we're doing a panel tomorrow, 1985 triple threat match, Stallone versus Schwarzenegger versus the Cannon Group, based on the premise that was the last great year of violent cinema. Violence for the sake of violence. And so we want to figure out who won that battle. So it wasn't until 1989, so a violent movie would still get an R, even though Red Dawn and Exception, I think it was probably Reagan doing stuff under the table. Just cheering on the patriotism of Red Dawn, and I know he was a fan of Rambo 2. But when you get, but most of the time, you're a violent movie, you're getting an R. The Running Man. I don't really recall any boobs in that one. Language is a little harsh.
The other one was definitely boobs. What was it, though? When he goes to Mars. And
Total Recall 1990. Yeah. But I will get to there. So the violence ended up would get you an R rating. No, it's a violent movie. Parents shouldn't take their kids to it. It wasn't until 1989's Batman. So we've circled all the way back to Tim Burton. My mom, we were watching the old 65, 66 Batman on the Family Channel back in the day. And then she hears Batman with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton. Oh, we're going to see that. And it's but Mom, it's PG-13. No, it's Batman. It'll be fine. And then floodgates were open for my family. PG-13, I guess, is okay. And then my mom saw Batman Returns and like tried to shut that down, but I think because that just gets disturbing, and that's but Batman comes out, you take your F-bombs out of your movie, you get a PG-13. Violence is okay, and it goes back to South Park as we're distributing more Punch and Pie.
Sorry for the crinkles.
No worries. And as Sharon Barbla, Kyle's mom says, just remember as you're going to face those Canadians with their hockey sticks or whatever their weapons are, that it's okay to see ultra violence as long as you don't use any dirty language. So that's how. So I guess we've pretty much. I wouldn't say there's been. Like you had the Matrix trilogy, but I can't really say there's been awesome action until Keanu Reeves is asked to do it all over again, and so that's just how weird times are, I suppose. I'm surprised. I think they got to get the Rambo reboot, or I think they're doing a Rambo prequel upcoming, just so they can get it in while the orange. I've used my F-bomb, so I can't, and I use far more worse language to describe that orange guy.
Yeah. So, isn't that just going to be Rambo in Vietnam?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Rambo 3 is actually my favorite one because it's just the silliest. Rambo goes to Afghanistan. And then we thank the Mujahideen at the end of the credits. Which, to be fair, they weren't all the future Taliban.
So, saw a preview for Running Man.
Yes, I am Edgar Wright. I am very much in on that, and I think it's going to be closer to the Stephen King. There's a fun YouTube channel I watch called The Bad Movie Bible, and it's a great episode on. They're the first half, so he's done a two-parter. Mad Max exploitation.
Oh, second one's out now.
Yes.
Okay.
And they bring up, I think it was, I can't remember the name of the movie, but there's a movie that pretty much looks like The Running Man, made in 1984, Italian knockoff. I think Fred Williamson might be in it. And then it's like, well, it's nothing like Stephen King's novella, The Running Man. So, did Schwarzenegger steal an Italian horror, an Italian Mad Max exploitation movie to make The Running Man? I mean, because you get Fred Williamson is in it because you get scenes like, and here's where they see the former winners, the former runners who won. They don't call them runners, but so Bad Movie Bible. That will have all the information you need. I could say Aaron Reynolds of Effin' Birds. I was talking about movies with him. Like I just finished watching Galaxy Warriors, one he associate produced. I think I'm in and you can find a lot of his stuff on Tubi. Like I'm gonna watch Nano Shark at some point. So so a person has cancer, so they go and shrink a shark down to go into the bloodstream to eat the tumor. And it goes wrong, of course.
So it's a weird take on.
So now they got to miniaturize people to go in and
get the shark out.
Get the shark out, yeah.
There was an old woman that swallowed a fly.
All right, so yeah. I think we can. I think we've pretty much gone through. I think everything. The premise of 90 for Chill is. The reason it's 90 for Chill is I ran it by, she was my girlfriend at the time. I started the blog, and I wanted to do about movies close to 90 minutes. And this was back when Netflix and chill was a thing. So I said, okay, 90 and chill. And she's a very timid girl for the most part, but she said, no, that's not going to work because that sounds like a non-Nigerian sex site. Bunch of 90-year-olds and plus chilling. Yeah, no, we're gonna change and to 4. So, yeah. So as I say, we'll have a panel tomorrow. I think it's a 5:15 start. About 1985. Yes. Otherwise, thank you very much for checking out this panel. Hope to see you tomorrow. There will be more Punch and Pie. And as I always close my podcast out with a little soundbite from David Tennant from Good Omens. Can I get a wahoo?
Wahoo.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you, guys.
This podcast was made possible by the love and support of Dave and Cindy Stevens, Rory Stevens and Allison Higgins, Danny Daniels, and Stephanie Smith.
Long live Flash! You've saved your Earth. Have a nice day.